Morning, everyone. I'm wondering whether I should call this the pyjama diaries. The only time I seem to do them is first thing in the morning when I've got my first cup of coffee. Everybody's in bed. My daughter's watching a movie with earphones on, so I can have half an hour's break. And this is the only time I sort of get the peace and calm, sort of to sit down and say something. I was actually thinking of doing it in one of the different rooms last night, but never got around to it. So, first sup of coffee, I've saved it for the camera. Because seeing somebody drink coffee is got to be the best thing in the world ever, hasn't it? And damson and jam toast, which I made myself. September. That is quality. So if you want some damson jam, I've got several jars left. Absolutely gorgeous. It's getting to a point where I don't want to get rid of them now because I'm enjoying them that much. And apparently damson jam can last years if it's sealed properly, and these have been sort of proper heat sealed, so fingers crossed. But it's my first foray into jam, so, you know, I may not have sealed them properly, but I think I did. I followed all the instructions, and we are now September, October, November, December, January, February, March, April. We're now about 7 months in, and they're still perfect. I thought I'd talk about penis envy. No, not the actual psychological state of penis envy. A TV show. I have converted it to MP4, so I'll try and cut it into this video. But there won't be anything graphic. I don't want to start getting myself banned from YouTube early. Basically, I was having a quick conversation with Shen Muso. I don't know whether it's got a number now. And I mentioned it, so I just thought I'd explain it. I was going to do a video about it at some point, because this is supposed to be diaristic, but I just thought I'd sort of do it now. Basically, I joined a website called beonscreen.com, and beonscreen.com would send you lots and lots of TV shows that were coming out for all the different channels, and then you decided which ones that you wanted to be on. I want to turn like this. I don't know whether it's comfy or not, or whether I look stupid. Which TV shows you want to be on, and 90% of the time they're shit. You know, it's car crash TV, it's Drunk Britain, and Neighbours from Hell, and all that sort of stuff. I did have Channel 5 phone me up to see if I wanted to be on Neighbours from Hell, and it was like the guy to my right is deaf, and there's nobody to my left. So no, I'm fine. So they're all car crash stuff, but every now and then you get a TV show where you thought, oh yeah, that'll be a challenge, and I'll enjoy doing that. So I was on a TV show called Gutted, where I sold everything I own. I was on a TV show called Kill It, Cook It, Eat It, where I saw animals slaughtered, and then ate them at night, and that was to see whether I could watch animals being slaughtered and still be happy eating them. Richard and Judy, which I've already linked to before, but I'll do another link there. I've got a screen now, I can look at myself. My new camera's got a screen on, so I'm now looking slightly off camera to see that I'm pointing in the right direction. And then I got an email about a TV show that sort of sold itself as a TV show on male body dysmorphia. Men talking about sort of, well, I interpreted it as men talking about today's images of men, and how we're just as susceptible to image issues and self-image issues as women are now. It's not just the women, or it's becoming more men. You know, I think predominantly women are still sort of under the pressure. There wasn't a show title at that point, but it sounded interesting, so they wanted a lot of men to go up to London and sit and have an open discussion about sort of society and body image and things like that, and that seemed interesting thing to do. So I put my name forward, had my train ticket paid down to London, and we had a couple of hours discussion on body images, the penis, and everything else. And then at the end of it, they chose 3 men to come back. You know, they asked us lots of questions, and they chose 3 men to come back to be on the actual show. So I think they chose, well, they obviously had a set criteria, so I don't know what they chose. But they chose us to come back and ask me and 2 other lads to come back up to London a bit later. So me and these two other lads went up to London later, and we met Steve K. Amos, the comedian. I'll clip a bit in now.
Any kind of man is an it man for something. A leg man, a tit man, a bum man. But surely by definition, there must be a cock man. Some kind of superhero going around, wearing a cape going, dun dun dun. You need more than that.
And one of the things they asked, it was really funny because coming up to the show, before we went back for the second time, they obviously had the runners and the production crew coming down and asking questions and asking me questions and seeing whether I fit their criteria. They had a show that they wanted to create in their mind, and they wanted to see whether I sort of fitted the criteria. So obviously with the lackey jobs, they're going to London, coming from London to 160, 70, 80 miles on the train to ask a handful of questions. So it's not going to go to any of the main producers. So I've got those 21, 22-year-old female runners asking me questions about my penis, which I thought was sort of quite funny, because I was comfortable with the topic. I'm not an exhibitionist. I wasn't one of these men that sort of get a thrill from talking about his cock to young women. But she was asking me the questions and I was answering sensibly. But it was funny just because she was a little bit embarrassed, and most of the crew, bar the sound and camera people, were sort of female. All the runners and the people that sort of gathered the information and organised the shoots and things like that. So they decided to have us back, and we all went back up to London. And they said they wanted to focus the show primarily on the penis. They wanted it to be about sort of body image. Now men can be dissatisfied. So this is funny. They gave us a camcorder. They gave us what did they give us? Polaroid. A Polaroid and a ruler, and sent us off to the bathroom and said, we'd like you to take a picture of it in one state, get it into the other state, and then take another picture of it and measure it. And then you write underneath, so you'll have the Polaroid, and then underneath you'll have your measurements. So they wanted a picture. So I'm there in the toilet, hand at the back, Polaroid in the hand, taking photos like that, and then you have to sort of measure it in both states, and then you have to crack one off, get it hard. Well, not crack one off, you don't have to go to completion, obviously, because obviously you'll lose the moment and you won't get a true measurement. But then you have to get it hard, and so you stood there like that, with your ruler, with your tape measure, sort of getting the measurement, how big you are. Yes, and then you have to write on the bottom what your measurement was, and take it back. So I take it back to the production crew, and give them Polaroids of my penis. Never thought I'd do that in a clinical way. I always thought I'd do that in an erotic way, take pictures of me willy and give them to a woman. I always thought the first time I did that it would be erotic rather than clinical and functional. And then Steve K. Amos came over and did all his segments, and he was just talking to us about society. And he was looking at mine going, what are you complaining about? There's nothing wrong with yours. That's a pretty decent size. And they were like, well, it might seem like a decent size to you, but it isn't to me. And it probably is, but you know, there's a level of dissatisfaction, and that's why they've had me on the show.
Yours looks really average. Yeah. How many extra inches would you like in an ideal world?
Probably an inch, put into my frame. So also part of the show, they asked us to go away and test a few products. One of the guys had psychotherapy, and one of the guys had me and the other guy had stretching devices that is supposed to work and stretch the penis and put extra inches on, and mine was like a sticky condom you put over your penis, a bit like a catheter. Is it a catheter? Convene, they're called, convenes. And you attach it to your penis, then it attaches to a rope or to something like a belt which goes round your side, and you tighten it up, and as you tighten it, it drags your penis that way. And that didn't do anything at all. That had no effect. I tried it out, and it's all psychological, and you know, I didn't sort of do much with that at all. And then they came down and did a few interviews where they asked why you thought you was like you were now. They asked you to talk about sort of past relationships, and they asked you to talk about past relationships and society and just your personal influences, and part of it I actually got to talk about an ex-girlfriend, and I talked sort of quite openly, and not nice, but it was quite cathartic and enjoyable to say, and they left that in. And the funny thing was, is they left that in, and then she contacted me on Facebook, and this is about 6 months, 8 months later, because they kept showing it on repeat. It was on Virgin One. And she contacted me 6 months later, and I forgot about the TV show then. You know, people, everybody at work had seen it, the TV show, and then obviously my penis. But I'd sort of forgot about it. It was not God, the euphemisms. I'm about to say it's not a big thing. There's so many scope for penis euphemisms. Being on the show and the fact I was naked was not a big thing to me. But this ex sort of contacts me, and I sort of went, oh, how are you doing? What are you doing? And we've stayed friends. But that was I enjoyed the fact that was in. That was quite cathartic for me because, well, that's another story. So we did that. We did the stretching device. We did the interviews, and then they had us up to London. And the producer sort of was saying, I've got another idea for a final shot. I've just had it, and I think it'll be sort of really good. And we walk into the room that we was initially in, and they've got a full-length mirror, big, massive, well, more than full-length, you know, probably 8 foot big, and all that sort of stuff. Lots of lighting, and all the sides were white, so it's obviously sort of for good lighting. It says you don't have to do it. I've got this idea for a final shot. It says I want you to talk about your experience and stuff getting here, but I want you to do it naked. So naked, being filmed for a TV show, talking about my penis, and I did go out and talk. I work with young children on respite. I had sort of children with autism and challenging behaviour. I took them out for the parents, and I went and found my social worker and just went, how do you feel? If you don't feel it's appropriate, then I won't do it. I don't think it's car crash TV. I don't think it's going to be shown at any time that the young children are going to see it. Not that they'd really understand it, but what's your thoughts? And she was like, no, I can't see there being a problem. And I said, to be totally honest, it seems like a documentary. It seems like something serious. And, you know, if it's part of a frank and honest discussion, I can't see there being a problem. So she was like, yeah, okay. So I went back in and went, yeah, don't have a problem with it. That's absolutely fine. So the final shot, and I'll do a few blurred pictures now that I've had on my Flickr. I'm not going to put my penis on here. Yeah, so the final shot was me stood naked in front of a full-length mirror talking about myself, talking about my penis. And it was a good experience because it prompted a lot of discussion afterwards. It turned out to be a shit show. It turned out to be shit, disposable, crap TV. It was nothing serious at all, and you know, I slightly regret being on it for that. I'm not embarrassed about it. I regret because I thought it was going to be a lot more serious than it was. But all my work colleagues have seen it, all my friends have seen it, and we always sort of talk and sort of joke about it. And it's quite nice that it's not an uncomfortable topic, that it's not something that bothers me. And when I was working, it was something that all laugh about. And the TV show, because obviously, how often do you work with somebody that's been naked on TV? And it was really funny because the first time it was repeated, I was working for social services, and I got on with my teammates, and then the next day, one of the student workers came in, and everybody was quiet and gossiping and going off into other rooms, and I wondered if I'd done something wrong. And there was discussions going off, and every time I went in, the discussions were stopping. So I didn't know what it was until one of my friends texted me and said, saw you on TV last night. What did he say? And he wasn't gay, he said jokingly, your knob's fine, but your hair made you look like a twat. And as soon as I realised my show had been repeated, I went back into the other room where everybody was having this discussion and went, has my knob been on TV again? And they were like, oh, thank God. Oh, we didn't know whether to tell you or not. We didn't know what to say. You've embarrassed the hell out of Sarah, the student. So, and that's when we all started sort of laughing and joking. It was like, I went on TV. I am aware that other people is going to see it. I'm not embarrassed by it. I'm not going to go on TV with my willy out if I'm embarrassed by it. But I do have a copy of it, which I could upload to YouTube. But the reason I haven't is as soon as you start giving people links to the show where your penises are, I think it's a little bit exhibitionist. It's like the first sentence in a conversation when you're introduced to somebody for the first time is, hi, I'm James, I'm an aturist. I'm not an aturist. But it's just you're almost giving that information for another reason. If you've worked with someone for years and found out there was an aturist, I suspect you'd respect that. Because it's not in your face, it's not something like a religion, they're not trying to force onto you. you know, if you work for somebody for years and you find out they're a Christian, you sort of go, oh, right, yeah, I respect that, especially if they're an active one, because they haven't forced it down my throat. They haven't sort of tried to put their sort of moral views on me or anything like that. So I'm not going to upload it, and I'm not going to put a link to it, because it's almost like I'm wanting to waggle it in front of people, and it's not. It's a TV show I did for me. And the best part about the TV show was it was going off when all the Blue Peter and quiz fixing and Radio 1 quiz fixing was going off. And they got me Polaroids with my measurements, and they phoned me up one day at home and said, we just want to make sure that you're okay coming on this show. And they were like, yeah, I'm fine, I'm not embarrassed. And you don't feel we're sort of manipulating you or forcing you into it. And it's like, no, not at all. I know exactly what I'm going into. I'm not bothered about it at all. And you don't feel and you don't feel we're making you do anything that you don't want to do. No, why? Well, we've passed your photos around the office, and you do know you're statistically above average. And they were like, tell you what, you say that once in the show, and I'll do anything. Just say that once, statistically above average, will do me fine. And when it came to the nude shot at the end, I did say to him, you do know you said you'd say statistically above average when you talked about me at least once in the show. And they're like, yeah, we'll make sure we say it. So I think they wanted me for the demographic of the person that was above average but was still dissatisfied, and it was, you know, it was because society's led us to not be happy with what we've got. So that was brilliant. And I'd come home and I'd say to my wife, do you love me? And she'd go, yeah, you know I love you. I'd go, come on then, let's have some statistically above average loving. So so that oh shit. Yeah, so that's when I was on TV with my willy out. I will put clips around about that you can go and, well, actually I'll just put part of this video. But yeah, that's me on TV on a TV show called Penis Envy. Good morning. Marvin the Martian.